Next session will focus on metallurgy in medicine, space, energy and allied areas. And we have three experts in this session. Professor GVS Shastri, Dr. Anup Shukla and Dr. S. Mahesh. I request all of these three panel members to please come on the dais. So our speaker, Professor GVS Shastri, he is a former professor at the Department of Metallurgical Engineering, IIT BHU. He had been visiting adjunct faculty at Department of Metallurgy and Materials Engineering, IIT Ropar. And he is also a fellow of Indian Institute of Metals, Materials Research Society of India and Electron Microscope Society of India. He is the Alexander Humboldt Fellowship awardee, as well as Young Scientist Medal awarded by Indian National Science Academy. He has published more than 100 quality research papers, and as a faculty, as a student, we know that Professor G.V. Shastri is a well-known microscopist. He is renowned for that. When I was a student, I was knowing that in IIT BHU, there is one micro TM expert who is the Professor Shastri, like that. So second one is our Dr. Anup Shukla. He has obtained his BTech, MTech and PhD from IIT Kanpur. He joined Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in 2004. And from there itself, he has completed his PhD degree. He is currently leading two divisions at VSSC. One is a special joining process division and second one is a special metallurgical facilities division. He acquired Young Scientist Award from Astronautical Society of India. He also acquired Innovator Award from Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. His PhD thesis has been considered for Professor Brahma Prakash Best PhD Thesis Award from Indian Institute of Metals. He is a Young Engineer Award winner from Indian National Academy of Engineering, INAE. And on top of that, he is one of the dynamic scientists at VSSC Trivandrum. Last one is our Dr. S. Mahesh ji. He is again a versatile personality. He did his PhD in influence of Kalari Paitu in curing systems. He is Kalari Gurukul, you can say the promoter of that. He is film director, founder of Agasthyam Kalari, and there is one IKS Kalari in Kerala, so he is co-PI of that, and Dr. Arun is PI of that center. And today he is going to talk on Siddha medicine. He is an expert of Vastu Shastra, majestical tantric practices. He also has a successful career in media, having received several awards, including 8 state awards for his short movies and documentary. Now he is prepared for this epic film, Kalyain, as the director and writer with the Malayalam superstar Prithviraj. And we wish him all the best for his coming film. And with this, I would like to first request Dr. S. Mahesh to start this panel discussion. You please, sir, you can start. Please come. And I request panelist members to please conclude his talk within 10 minutes so that just after the talk of individual panelists, we will have 10 to 15 minutes interaction session so that things will be in line and we will be in the same page. Please, sir.
So, namaskaram all. I am much privileged and blessed to be here with these wonderful speakers, co-speakers here. And yesterday we performed a little bit Kalari, and these knowledge comes from the Siddha tradition, from the Agastya and the 18 Siddhas. So, I hope you heard about Siddhas. Anybody? Did you heard about Siddhas? Did you ever heard about Agastya? Agastya maybe, right? So I'll go for a very small paddle of one of the Siddhas. The Siddha's name is Shivavakyar Siddha. He says, Andathil ullade pindam, pindathil ullade andam. So these are some paddles from Shivavakyar about the connection between the physical body and the cosmos. Like Shivavakyar and Kudambai, there is another Siddhar also, Kudambai Siddhar. He also sang that Andathu Kappana Ganda Sudarinil Pindathul Parpayadi. That means the same meaning. So Shivavakyar and Kudambai and the 18 Siddhas have all sung about the intimate connection or equivalence of the microcosm and the macrocosm, or the superconsciousness and the self. There are a lot of interpretations about these paddles. Here I am trying to connect the idea with metallic perspective. One interesting way to look at this is to consider our own heartbeats. The beating of the heart is a reflection of our breathing process. Maybe you know, everybody knows. It is meant to send blood with oxygen throughout the body. Do you know why our heart beats? Anybody? Yeah, yes. So it tries to pump the blood. If you look more into the molecular level, we will find the heart is pumping our hemoglobin molecules. Am I right? So the molecular form of blood is Hema-B. If we look again into the atomic level of Hema-B molecule, its core is an iron atom or a ferrous core. So as we know, this iron is in the universe has been forged in the explosion of stars and collision of galaxies. The source of iron is from the entire cosmos. So we have this grand cosmic metal circulating in our body, reminding us of our metallic nature with every heartbeat. So the connection of our heart with the cosmos is a metal connection, first of all. And Sar was actually asking about the brotherhood. So in everyone, the same metal is pumping inside the iron. So we are all connected with iron, right? So in Siddha Sampradayam, it is very clear about the Siddha, maybe the Shiva Sampradayam converted into the Siddha Sampradayam. We have the Agastya and the 18 Siddhas as the famous group. But there are also 64 recognized Siddhas and even 9 Navanath Siddhas. They were not merely rishis or sannyasis or spiritual beings. They were also scientists, alchemists, metallurgists, physicians, surgeons, yogis and so on. They created a wealth of knowledge for the society and disseminated it through the paddles or songs. So when we talk about metallurgy and siddhas, the immediate curiosity is about the alchemy of creating gold. So people will eagerly ask, can we create gold from some metals, from silver? There are a lot of stories. So everyone asks, can we create gold? Like in the rest of the world, there were tremendous research and attempts to make gold. There is an interesting story about Karuvurar Siddhar, the architect of the great Tanjavur Brihadeshwara temple. A king had asked his goldsmith team to create a Nataraja idol at Chidambaram based on a vision he had in underwater. He wanted to make it in 41 days. The craftsman thought that it was going to be a simple task. He gave them pure gold to do that. For 40 days they struggled, but the mold never settled and idol cannot be completed. On the 40th day, Karurar Siddhar, the disciple of Bhogar, it is another Siddhar who consecrated the Palani temple, he came to his kingdom. Hearing about the struggle, he asked them to step outside and wait for an hour. After 1 hour, he presents the completed idol to them. They are stunned. Then king arrives at the dawn of 41st day and he sees the idol. He is happy but wants to test the purity of the gold. So finding that there is some copper added, he arrested Karurar and put him to jail. Then Bhogar and other Siddhar appear and tell the king about the mistake of arrest. They convinced him about the mystical powers of Karurar. When the king goes to the prison, he cannot see Karurar, who has made himself invisible. This is a story, but there are maybe actually. And king apologizes. Karurar then tells the king that gold was of no interest to him. To demonstrate, he asked him to bring some silver. With 1 pinch of special sinduram, he converts molten silver to pure gold. This story demonstrates the need of alloying gold as well as the mystical interest in transmutation of metal to gold. Now with all the technology advances today, we can indeed convert through nuclear processes with neutron smashing, only that it is not financially viable way to make gold, right? Otherwise we can easily try. One of the prominent Siddhar is Pambatti Siddhar. He sings Utta Kuridi Uyar Maringam. That means your basic component of your blood is iron. Okay. Unmai Kuralu Muraita Chembu. That means your hair is copper. Chollum Elumbunal Iyamagum. Your lead. Your bone is lead. Chuttum Nyarambu Charigu Velli. Your nerves, these blood vessels are silver. Mattum Nal Moolai Tulangu Punam. Your brain is gold. Chollum Nilekkai Udal Kanigal Chernum Uppan Tunar Dadamabe. This is converted with in a salt form. These metals are converted into salt form. So this is a parallel by Pambatti Siddhar where how these metals are displayed in our human body is very much explained. So this clearly describes the identification of metals within the human body. These are found in salt form. The imbalance of metals was identified as the cause of many diseases. So the treatment was to rebalancing, and that had to done through consumable form of metals. This was the major research Siddhas undertook. How can iron be converted to a digestible format to treat blood-related issues? Even today we have iron supplements, right? They created medicines with metals in a much purified form. So the Siddhas are supposed to possess the Ashtama Siddhis like Anima, Garima, Prapti, Prakashi. Maybe you had heard about that. It is wrong to interpret that these are physical powers like transformation of the body into minuteness to huge size, or from huge size to the small size, as we had seen Hanuman becoming big and small. I always ask what will happen to his dress if he's coming like this. So it is the mental ability to investigate across the different scales of our world actually. They could study the tiny nanoscales as well as the local cosmic scale. So I have personal experience to producing this mercury. Mercury is very important in Siddha medicine. Maybe you know. So mercury, in my home yesterday I was talking with him. From Chayilium and other drugs, special preparation using big pots and with systematic process, we made Balarasam, mercury, and it is then used to different medicines after processing and preservations. So medicines like Siddha Magaradhvajam, yesterday I was talking about that. It's purely made up of mercury. So commonly used metals were gold, silver, mercury, iron, zinc and copper. It is commonly used in medicines. So a medicine based on metals is prepared through four stage of processes. First, there will be like a raw material. From we derive the basic principle, then there is a purification process, then the final medicine is prepared. These four stages we always follow. The raw materials can be a plant origin. Maybe it is called as Mooligai Vaguppu. There are 11 subdivisions of Mooligais based on the part of the plant that is used, like root, bark, flowers, etc. Then the metal part is the Thattu Vaguppu. It is the metal-based preparation, Thattu Vaguppu. There are 220 varieties based on 11 metals. So metals are called Loham or Uloham. Then Kara Rasam, that is salt. Then Patanam, that metal salt. Then Uparasams. There are 120 Uparasams. Like that metal is prepared. So using the metal, they used to make chindurams, parpams, churnams, melugu. These are the medicine. If somebody is having some problem with this brain, we use Tanga Sinduram or something like that. Gold. Maybe we can buy the gold leaves, right, for consumable. Yeah, like that. So, parpams and chindurams and melugu. In Siddha medicine, the process involves neat, vati and ketta. These are the basic processes we follow. Neat is ash production or sublimation, we can say. Vati is distillation. Ketta is transforming it to a target form, like that. Longer shelf life and easily absorption by the body were the main criteria. And you might be heard about Rasamani, the solidified mercury in normal temperature and said to have healing mystical powers. That is the basic thing that Siddhas used. It is always a wonder in Siddha treatment system. The Siddhas traveled extensively to get pure mercury from different sources actually. And there is another story about Siddhar Bhogar. He traveled to Rome, that Roma Rajya, and bringing back mercury from there. It was supposed to be very effective, so was guarded by demons, and he waits for the change of guards and steals the mercury, but get caught. He convinced them of the mystical powers by stopping the waves, the sea waves. There is a story. Seeing this, they let him go. So, then Thattu Vaguppu, after that there is one more, that is animal origins. We call it as Sivam Vaguppu. Like Puli Nagam is used for medicine preparation. Then hen, goat, different animals are used. And we should know that aluminium was known long back. It was called as Tuvari Manna. Yeah, yes. It's just like completing. And I'll complete it because you can see these kind of metals are used in Ayurveda also, Charaga and Shushruta. Yeah. So Charaga specified actually Jihvanir Lekhana Yandram and Nabhi Kartana Yandra, and which is used to cut the umbilical cord in specific like metals. So the Siddhar models offer tremendous potential for further research actually into the hidden and forgotten knowledge system. At IKS Center of Kalaripayattu and Siddha tradition, we have begun a humble attempt to find out more from the vast ocean of knowledge that Siddhas created and left for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yeah. Now we will take a few questions. We will continue the discussion and then next speaker, we will move to next speaker. Any question? Yeah, please.
Yeah.
What does Kalyan mean?
Kalyan.
Actually, Kalyan is a historical drama. It is based on a man who was here in 15th century. His name is Kunjarakot Kali. So, it's a historical drama actually.
Will you take another question, please?
Yeah.
Sir, you will discuss.
Right.
Vaiji, when you make this medicine, generally in allopathy, based on the age and weight, there is a quantity of medicine that is given to anybody.
Yeah.
So what kind of criteria you will use for a kid of 5 years age to 50 years.
We actually are not treating for the rogas. We are treating for the rogis only, right? So each and every patient is different. So in allopathy, if you have a fever, what will you give? Paracetamol, right? So in Siddha way, we have 8 kind of techniques, diagnosis techniques. We call it as Envagai Thiruvugal, 8 kind of techniques, which includes the Nadi Parvai, very effective Nadi Parvai, where we can judge each and every man, each and every patient, and we can, maybe one medicine will not work for all. So the controversies come actually for some metals are used in medicine, and there are a lot of controversies that about the metal consumption, kidney issues, poisoning effect and all it is coming. So we should keep in mind that the couple of centuries back, this was only treatment system in Tamil Nadu. The entire population should have disappeared. So the minute quantities we should give, patient by patient we have to change. That's the thing. We are not treating the roga, we are treating the patient only. Right?
Next question, any?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Lead. Yeah.
If you allow me,
Yeah.
with your permission,
Yes,
can I
yes.
add something?
Yeah, please. Yes.
In fact, in India, Indian system, medicine system, we have got a Siddha and Ayurveda. Ayurveda, the text all are in Sanskrit. So Ayurvedam में अगर आप बात करते हैं, only Sanskrit based रहता है सब में. सिद्धा is purely Tamil medicine. आप जितनी भी बातें कर रहे थे वो तमिल है. तो बात वो जितनी पाड़ल बोलते हैं तमिल में सांग टाइप पे है. This 18 सिद्धर्स थे. There were 18 सिद्धास. Even Patanjali was one of the सिद्धा. अगस्त्य मुनि से चालू कर पतंजलि और 18 सिद्धर्स थे. इनका their contribution is combined together called as a Siddha medicine. They use somewhere around 1000 herbs actually. Ayurveda, because it is an extension all over in Bharat, it has more than 3,500 herbs and all uses. But Siddha treats certain particular ailments which no one can treat. One is a psoriasis. Yeah. I think well, no, psoriasis is only the solution for psoriasis available only Siddha. Siddha is entirely, that is the pariksha, even Ayurveda they have got Ashta Pariksha Vidya, they have got Inbari.
Yeah.
So there, the particular they use it and they help out people. Siddha is entirely different type of a ball game. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Venkat. Yeah, please, okay.
Since Sir is talking about a lot of herbs are being used, probably were used by the forefathers.
Yeah.
How many of them are available and what are the ways to preserve them actually? That is something which is...
Actually, Siddha medicine system is very much... It is in the curriculum. We have Siddha medical colleges in Tamil Nadu, where these researches are happening, but not much. It is very much limited. I personally feel it is very much limited, but this knowledge is with a lot of Vaidyas, which is not have degrees. So we had to travel and take the wisdom from them. So the kind of medicines, there are a lot of medicines actually. Basically there are three kinds. I already mentioned that neat, that is like water, like distillation process, and a ket, like gulikas. Lot of medicines, and each medicine for each rogis will give the anupanam. You always say anupanam is different. So if somebody we can give in honey, maybe somebody it will take in milk. So the kind of patients and the medicine is different. That this thing. Anyway, we had to do a lot of work on that. Yes, it's available. Herbs are there in actually.
So last question from Professor.
Dr. Mahesh, I think Siddha is part of Ayush. Am I right, or you may correct? It's part of Ayush. So, no?
Yes, yes, sir. Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha.
Ayush may, yes. Ayush may.
No, Ayush is got a, Siddha is very important. National Institute of
If it is there, why the colleges are not there and so on?
Colleges
Yeah,
are
but
Mostly in Tamil Nadu and
yeah, but the knowledge he says is more with the Siddha rather than with the medical college.
In Tamil Nadu, it's extensively used many people. People many, they go for Siddha medicine. In Madras, in Chennai, there is a National Institute of Siddha Medicine is there, at par with the IIMs.
Thank you for your nice decision. Now I would like to request second panelist member, Professor G.V.S. Sastry sir, to please continue.
So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manesh. Please come.
This is the pointer. Which one is working? This one?
This is slide change.
Okay. This is the next slide. Yeah. Yeah, let me thank at the outset the organizers, particularly, yeah, it is there, particularly Dr. Prasad and Dr. Vinod, am I right? Yeah, and other faculty members of the department to have given me this opportunity. Am I audible? Usually my voice is very low. My students used to complain. So, in fact, this is a rare opportunity to me for the reason that whatever I am going to present or discuss today is my extracurricular activity in one sense, and I never made a presentation of it at any time. Many of the things I cannot support by the micrographs or any other things that I had collected because they are all left back in BHU. They are not with me, but I made some efforts. So today I am going to talk on these aspects, particularly in terms of materials: gold, copper, bronze and silica, and Bharadwaj's prism, Loha Sau and iron. These are the metals and so-called materials that I am going to talk of. As has already been said, there was a lot of interest in making gold in ancient times, and it started, I don't know from what time, but at least the recorded historical evidences are Nagarjunacharya at the present day Nagarjun Sagar in Andhra Pradesh, that region, and partly into Karnataka, and then Yogi Vemana, who desperately tried to make gold out of mercury, and having failed he became a yogi and he left all his kingdom also. Actually he was a king. And then BHU, I tried to get a photograph of it, but I could not, my student could not find, is the next one that I came across, where there is a written claim that during pre-independence time, gold was converted from mercury and they made gold, and some quantity also was mentioned, and it was presented to Mahatma Gandhi ji for utilization in the freedom fight. It's written in the Birla temple on the right side on one of the plaques. So that's where it is recorded. Then I come to one Shri Karra Veerabhadram and Santosh Karra, his son. Dr. Ganti Murthy knows this family. I have Sri Karra Veerabhadram is, their family is very rich in Mantra Shastra and Jyotish and Ayurveda. So I have myself seen many manuscripts with him, Talapatra Grandhas, where the secrets of those mantras, in order to preserve, they have written in right hand to left hand side, so that a casual reader in whose hands it has gone cannot interpret what is written. So that is the kind of secrecy that pervaded. So people did not know how to make, or even if people knew, they could not succeed in making this. So this, when I visited, I had some other connection, but I won't discuss all that. I was shown a small piece of gold made by Shri Veerabhadramji and also subsequently by his son Santosh. I wanted to get a photograph of it. He said, you take the piece and go to the conference, no problem. But he was busy in some ritual at that time, so he could not give me. That's what I mentioned. But you have to accept my word, and if any clarification is required, you are free to write to them on that email. He is available. That is the other person living who demonstrated and who showed me the piece of gold. Now, slightly different from what Dr. Mahesh said, maybe that one was not tested, the statue. The gold that these people claim is gold, but it is not gold, and in Ayurvedic terms, they say that it doesn't have prana, life it doesn't have. What that means metallurgically is, you cannot melt it and then get back the gold piece. So, whatever ornament or statue that you want to make, you have to make it in that form, and that's it. It will stand the test of purity by making a scratch on that stone, and all that is all right. But only thing is, it is not thermodynamically stable, so you cannot melt it and then make a gold chain or necklace and things like that from that.
What was it made of? What was the gold made of?
From mercury. The starting material is.
Alchemy then?
Yeah. So, but my intention here is not to encourage you to take up these things, but I mean, there are successes, there are failures in that. But one reference, maybe I will tell that why people were interested in gold, I will tell at the end in a different context. So, mercury, as Dr. Mahesh has already said, was a very important metal from which various other compounds were made and used in medicine. I have myself made this solidified mercury, so-called rustling, in BHU with the help of Dr. Jha, C.B. Jha. His name I have not written, forgotten. He was from Ayurvedic medicine, and since I was interested in this kind of things, so I once approached, and both of us, he said, sit down, let us make, I will show you how to make. And simply he had taken an iron pot in which copper sulfate was taken, and in fact mercury droplet was put in the iron, and then over that he has poured copper sulfate. And next day or after second day, you get a small piece of solidified mercury. This is how solid rustling is what people used to worship and all that. So I said, let me cut this and do the metallographic investigation from my background. So I have made a cut. My father incidentally was there at that time. He said, why did you do this kind of a thing? You are not supposed to, and all that. But anyway, that is the time when I was working on ITC superconductivity also, and I found that this rustling or whatever that piece which I made into two halves, I did X-ray diffraction and all that, and I found that it has compounds of copper and mercury. And those compounds, it is a two-phase alloy, that means at different stages it formed different compounds, and these compounds were close to the superconducting copper copper mercury compounds, which they found out later on. I mean, around that time. First was a high TC superconductor, which was an oxide superconductor. If some of the students, I don't know whether they know it or not, but this was also one of the, maybe that was the reason why people were interested in making rustling. I mean, these connotations and context we don't know. Unfortunately, we have missed that link. That is the reason. So, these are what are of importance. Then comes copper, and there is an institute in once again in Andhra Pradesh near Kandukuru in AP, which is it's an institute, Rasakalpa, Ancient Indian Technology Development. He had contacted me knowing my background and my interests, and then once they had sent me this saying that we are producing nano copper from a non-traditional way. I mean, nano copper nowadays we produce by any nanotechnology, but they said that they produce, and he sent me these things. So I advised him, these are not nano in size, because I am able to see the pictures in this way. But he then claimed that no, I mean, we can produce that also, but later on it becomes like this. But whatever it is, they are starting from, this is a known process for metallurgists and chemists, cementation process. By that process they must be doing, but he didn't want to divulge the secrets of it. I said, I mean, I didn't further pursue, but anybody who is interested can always get copper from this. Apparently he supplied this to DMRL when they wanted some copper, and scientists from DMRL also visited this particular case. I am just only bringing out how different people are available in the country and who are capable of doing these things. So, next one is bronze. Once again, you had seen the demonstration of that famous Kannadi or handheld mirror. My interest in this, there are various studies which you can see it on internet also and so on. People claim, finally even this is doubted, that the compound which is intermetallic is Cu65SN35, and some claim that it's not only simple binary intermetallic, but there are several elements within that and all that. I'm not going into that controversy. My interest in showing this is that those people who are, I don't know whether they are still here or not, they should be in a position to produce this mirror in a parabolic way, so that this mirror has many advantages. I don't know whether any of you noticed or not. It is a front surface mirror. It's not a back surface mirror like a glass mirror. So it is the front surface is reflecting, and it is a highly corrosion resistant and so on. So if you make optical telescopes with this parabolic mirror, it will be of great help. That is my idea. So I just wanted to throw that suggestion to him, whether can you make that big. What I already know is in British Museum there is something which is of this height, a mirror. That is the largest apparently that they have produced. But it's a flat mirror. What I want for that is an elliptical parabolic mirror. If that is not possible, make small flat mirrors and put them, paste them on a parabolic dish. That is also possible. So this is another suggestion. I don't know whether anybody is there to take these suggestions, but yeah. That is the shape which I was meaning. So I then go back to silica, which is again people, only 1 minute, yeah, I am through. It is produced from a liquid state, okay. Liquid means not melt the sand and then try to grow crystals of silica, but it is from herbal root. So only people like Dr. Mahesh or anybody who has contacts with some of those unknown persons in Kerala region, in the forest. That is from where Professor Ramchandra Rao got it. He showed me also when he was. I don't have a picture of it, unfortunately. So that's the interest in that. Now we come to, in this last 1 minute, I will tell you about my collaboration with the Rasasastra department of BHU, where Ayurvedic department college has many of these. There is one student who did jointly with me, MD, and the prescribed procedure of making Loha Sav, which is a tonic, iron tonic, generally given to pregnant ladies and any other anemic people, and also it has many other applications, not only for that indication, many other indications. So they start with iron or steel turnings, and then they go through these processes of bhavana, Vishesha Sodhana and Marana. So what I did was not only to take optical and SEM pictures, but we analyzed the content of that end products of all these things by X-ray diffraction. And then I found that what they were getting is megamite in very fine powder. So this was this was Dr. Vijay Gupta's this one. He is right now with Ayush in this place. That is the reference. You can make a contact with him. And so I suggested to him, why, if you want to finally convert all that process into fine powder of oxide and then complex it with any liquid, generally it is amlaka ras, triphala ras. So I said, why not start with iron powder, iron oxide powder itself. So later studies he had done using hematite as well as magnetite ores, and from there we have conducted another one. So this part I will skip. Yesterday's in panel discussion I had mentioned this, that Agaryas, if they can rehabilitate into their own position, profession, yeah, but Dr. Balal was not, yeah, they won't. Yeah, I know some part of the story which he also did not want to reveal, because late Professor Bhanu Prakash had spent some time in Bastar and made the iron in his presence, and he has videotaped all those things, and these, if I remember correctly, he has submitted to Indian Institute of Metals. Those things are available. But the problem is, if they lose their traditional way of making, then there will not be anybody with you who can demonstrate that. So it is better if that finds can be made. And this is the suggestion which I threw yesterday, that that type of furnace which can be shifted from location to location and use the pellets and make the iron. So will you give me half a minute? This is the this is the punch part of it. I said in the beginning, why people were interested in gold, our ancient time. They were definitely not interested in making gold, convert mercury into gold and so on, because gold at that time, native gold was available, not so scarce as it is now. So I don't think that was the interest. The interest in that was to produce what is known as atomic gold or white gold, which is a white powder of gold, which when you apply on your body, you become invisible. That is the reason. So my formula, this is from Bharadwaj Vaimana Shastra. We have spent considerable time on this, met various Sanskrit scholars and tried to get the translation of it. What they say in that book is, according to Akasha Tantra, the way it is put in inverted commas means Akasha Tantra must have been another book which is not mentioned here. By mixing black mica solution with neem and bhunaga decoctions and smearing the solution on the outer body of Vimana made of mica plates. So what it means is, you apply this lotion and mica can become, can take different colors. It can take this color of the sky. So the object will disappear in that sense. If something, if this gets the background color, you won't see the object. That is the idea behind. And we could not get what is bhunaga decoction in this. Other things one can understand, black mica one can understand, but bhunaga nobody could translate. So this is the sorry state of affairs in one sense.
Is it some plant or something that looks like a snake but is a creeper?
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Nath, for your nice talk. Now, we'll take two questions. Anybody, if you want to discuss few points.
I'm just wondering. Sorry, I'm just wondering. There's so much of interesting stuff and also things that people have actually done. And as we were discussing yesterday, there is so much of these texts that are being studied by foreigners.
Yeah.
And who are benefiting from it and doing amazing research, cutting edge research.
Yes.
So why is it that we are not being able to benefit from our own knowledge traditions?
What I since as I said, my interest in this was so-called extracurricular, but I was pursuing it, and for that reason I wanted to learn Sanskrit, although I did it when I was in 10th class and earlier. So we got from ministry one center which taught us Sanskrit, all that went on. But the unfortunate part in this whole thing is two things. One is there is a kind of change of language or dialect. So what they mean at that time cannot be interpreted by Sanskrit scholars who are present today. That's one difficulty. Second difficulty is some of the Sanskrit scholars whom we met, including Shankaracharya of Kanchi, present Shankaracharya of Kanchi, he said, okay, you come for a discussion, there are some people here, maybe they can interpret. So in many of their minds, they have a feeling that it's okay, it has been done, but there is no great benefit that you derive from knowing these things. This is the second unfortunate part of it. So,
Why are scientists taking it up?
but scientists are not able to decipher that, no? That's why yesterday I was talking to you, that program which they considered, where Professor Kutumba Shastri and 10 others have made a document of producing scholars, those who have science background, make them learn Sanskrit, and those who have pure Sanskrit background, they take 12 years to graduate in that Sanskrit. I know one gentleman who got double PhD in Sanskrit. So that kind of persons should be brought into mainstream of science, because a 60-year-old, a 70-year-old, he will not have any interest in studying BSc. So you have to pick up a young person and then make him study, which means you have to allow the university to admit him into an MSc course. I know personally of one gentleman who has done all Shastras and so on, the 12-year course he has done, and finally he got a job in Kotak Mahindra. He was so good in computer programming and so on. With that certificate course that he did, he got a job. So his livelihood is done, but he has not advanced that knowledge into this.
Very quick observation. One is, of course, I think the question has two parts. One part is how to revive or take the knowledge from inside. That's what you are telling. The other one is how do you actually allow the practitioners to continue? The practitioners can continue only if it is economically viable or sustainable. So that's why the difficulty part is there. So these two are two different. The other thing is on the mirror part. I think in the morning I was telling you may not have been there. That the most important thing about the mirror is the phase which you showed. That's the delta phase. The hardness has to be high so that it's reasonably scratch free. Otherwise, it's not a mirror. Otherwise, everything is a mirror. So, but this is only an operational or functional mirror only if you have the high hardness above a threshold. So you showed a lot of Sarada Srinivasan's work. She had done all that to show that yes, if this phase forms, then the hardness is quite high. And the other part is, in order to form this hardness and so on, you have to work within the very small window. And that window is so critical. Above that you go, it cracks because of liquation, again boundary, incipient fusion. You come below that, it will take crack. So therefore that temperature is very important. I was amazed to see how the villagers are actually measuring the temperature. They don't have pyrometer or thermocouples. They will take a drop of water, they will dip their finger in the water and they will throw it from a distance. From the rate of evaporation, they know that this is the exact temperature. And on the stone on which they keep it, they also know this is a stone which the thermal conductivity of that is low, it doesn't become cold. Thank you.
Thank you. We are running short of time, so now I would like to first thank you, Professor Shastri, for your nice talk.
Thank you very much.
Next panelist member is Dr. Anup Shukla. I request him to focus on space materials, considering this Vision 2047 as per the requirement of VSSC. Please.
Only VSSC? So, first of all, thank you, Dr. Vinod. And I came kind of unprepared in a sense. I thought it was only panel discussion, so I didn't prepare for a talk really. But when people are talking, I have to talk before we start discussing. So I just scribbled something, noted down. We'll try to tell about the rockets because that is my livelihood. I work in that area. The rockets, they say it started long back around so many stages it has gone through. They say in the Greek hero of Alexandria, he did the most elementary thing. What he took is that he took a sphere and that was some steam was fed into that, and in that sphere he put some two L-shaped outlets. So when steam went in and came out, and they were opposite directions, so it started rotating. If you look, that is the first experiment you can say when the steam, when it came out, the object moved, which is the basic principle of a rocketry per se. After that, so many things happened, and they say around 1st century AD, Chinese, they started doing the work on the gunpowder. So what they used to do is that they will fill the gunpowder in bamboo, close the end, and throw in some kind of fire. So it will explode. So it will be like, mostly celebratory purposes. But somewhere, they say, we don't know, that some of them did not explode and they moved. Because one end got loosened and your explosive came out through that. So when they saw, probably they realized, so this bamboo strip can actually travel. It need not explode. So they started tying these bamboo particles on arrows and fill the gunpowder. So gunpowder will come out and the arrow will travel farther distances rather than simply throwing. And the work what arrow does, it will do. But if you look, that is kind of a rocket then. The gunpowder which is coming out of the bamboo and taking the arrow forward is like a rocket. Then, but if you look at that one, they say that it is some charcoal, sulfur, saltpeter, they filled it in. Then something happened when a lot of wars were there. The Chinese and the Mongols had a war. It happened around 1232. And the Chinese army repelled the Mongol army using this kind of arrows, which were having this bamboo stick with gunpowder, which was making it travel. So I think that may be the first use of missiles in the warfare. Then a lot of work happened in 13th to 15th century. This idea went from China to maybe Arabs to Europe, and they started using it. Then, there was interesting thing. Some French, one person was there, Jean Frozet. What he did is that he started using this tubes, with much more, this arrow when it is traveling, if it can travel through the tube first and then come out, it gives much more better accuracy. So that may be the guided system which was developed elementary. Then when Mr. John Fontana, he came out with an interesting idea. What he did is that he took a small, like a tortoise kind of thing, filled with this gunpowder, and it used to travel on the surface, and it goes and hits the ship, and ships will catch fire. So between the wars, which was generally Europe will fight, France and these people will fight on sea more often. So these were used like a torpedoes, surface traveling tortoises, which were having filled with this. Then in Germany, a lot of things happened. They started inventing the stage rocket. Means first is going to be same type of things only, but first stage is going to be thicker, then next stages are going to be thinner and thinner, and then one will come out, then second will catch fire. So this is like a stage. Now whatever rockets we are making, they are also stage. First stage solid, second is stage liquid, third stage is cryo. But that started long back, 15th century back. And then I'll just tell that Chinese, there was a person, this is a legend only, it is not real, we don't have a proof. This person name was Wang Hu, it was some kind of official. He came with very nice idea. He had a chair, and that chair he tied with two big kites, and each kite ends, he put some small rockets, the same bamboo filled with gunpowder, and 47 numbers is what the story says, and some 47 attendants. So they rushed, and he said, when I sit on this, you fire it. So rockets will fire, I'll go up. So it happened, it seems, but after the fire happened, nobody could find the chair and that Wang Hu. It blown into pieces. So it was not very easy. Then the American, Robert Goddard, he started doing lot of experiment. He is said to be one of the pioneers with solid rockets. And also he was the first person to experiment with the liquid. So he used gasoline and LOX. LOX is liquid oxygen in the rocket. So that may be the first liquid rocket. The flight was very less. It was hardly 2.5 second flight with hardly the altitude of 12.5 meters is what it went. But that is the first liquid engine, we can call it liquid rocket, which went. And then Germans started making V2 rockets, which was like a missiles, liquid propelled, and they started throwing it on the England, and it was destroying like anything. And what they say is that then why they lost? Probably they used it quite late in the World War II, 1937 and all. Had they started earlier, the war would have resulted in differently. Now, after this V2 rockets, which are so successful, the German got defeated. This technology was stolen from Allied forces, that is, Americans, not stolen, taken away, the war booty. And to some extent by Russian also. There was a joke, the famous comedian said that why the Russian rockets are going, why our rockets are not going. I think sir knows that. So he joked, their Germans are better than our Germans. So basically German only are making the rockets. 1957, we all know, Russia launched the Sputnik. And within a month they launched the second one, in which they put the dog named Laika. Laika survived for 7 days. Oxygen went out, then they died. Then Americans also started. Explorer 1 came 1958. And it progressed. We also started having rockets, and so many rockets. PSLV in 2017, when we sent, it had 104 satellites. Yesterday somebody was saying 36 satellites. It's not true. We have the record of sending 104 satellites in a single rocket. It's a world record, beating the Russians, which were around 40. And this Sunday, we are also going to send GSLV Mark III, which is going to be our workhorse. Probably other rockets will slowly die away because it has a good capability. And what we are going to launch is 36 satellites from OneWeb. This is also an interesting story. I think I should better tell it. OneWeb wanted to send, this is a British company, they want to have a constellation of so many satellites, around 648 satellites they want to have. And they have already launched 582 satellites using Soyuz primarily, then Falcon 9 US. The contract was not over, and the Russian war, that Ukraine war has started. So Ukraine war started, though there was obligation, you should not do things with Russia. So they approached us, can you launch? Which we happily agreed. And last mission, Mark II, was with OneWeb, 36 satellites were launched successfully. It is said to be one of the biggest success. Maybe somebody will tell you the story how it was launched. I'm not going to tell right now. The design of the flight was wonderful. Then 36 more is going this Sunday. Now, coming to the rocketry and coming back to the same topic, the materials in the rocketry. And before that, I wanted to tell one story I was telling. Not only Sky, we are trying to help even the, for deep sea exploration. There is a mission for making a submersible, deep sea submersible, which can go to 6,000 meters down. But you know the pressure, when you go deep in the sea, is very high pressure. You can't survive. Any vessel will simply crumble. Nothing will be there. So it needs a titanium, which is lighter weight and high strength. And we want 3 people to be sitting in that. So it's going to be a big sphere of 2.1 mm diameter, 1 meter diameter. And with the National Institute of Ocean Technology, this ISRO is helping, because we have rich experience in making titanium alloy gas bottles. So with the help of many industries, Midhani and all, this is going on. So we always support, means ISRO is always taking the other activities with the other organizations also. Now, challenges in the materials for space applications is multifold, it is not single. Because we may be the people who have materials for 20 Kelvin, that is liquid hydrogen. At the same time, when the thrust chamber burns, the temperature goes to 3000 degrees. So we deal with the materials with very low temperature to very high temperature. We deal with the environments which are highly corrosive, hydrogen, to the highly erosive, that is your nozzles where the things come out, oxidative, satellite thrusters, very low thrust. So all type of materials, you name it, aluminum alloys, we use like a workhorse, everything we make mostly with aluminum alloys, copper alloys, for thrust chamber. I'm not giving you full details, but each topic is a big topic to discuss. Copper alloys we use in thrust chamber where we need high thermal conductivity. High thermal conductivity, pure copper will give, but we have to compromise to gain the strength. It always remains a open challenge to build this system. Like we need a copper alloy which gives us the thermal conductivity as close to the pure copper, at the same time gives the strength. Maybe Dr. Vinod was talking that after this discussion, we'll try to pick up some ideas where ITs can work. So this is one. You can have a copper alloy which gives a high thermal conductivity, doesn't compromise on the pure copper conductivity, but strength is also high. And strength is also at high temperature. We deal with magnesium alloys, titanium alloys, all alpha alloy, alpha beta alloy. Like, when you go to 20 Kelvin, everything becomes brittle. So we need a titanium alloy which is still ductile at very low temperature. You know the titanium, why it sank. It went into ductile to brittle transformation during that Atlantic, and due to low temperature it became brittle and cracked. Now steels, nickel alloys. Nickel alloys are high temperature alloys. Any application which demands application 600 and above, you need to go for super alloys. So we have that cobalt-based super alloys, niobium-based alloy. Niobium-based, like we call it columbium, C103. It's a columbium hafnium alloy, which is used in satellite thrusters. Unfortunately, everything is imported. All the niobium is coming from outside. So you need a material. We'll say 2047, we have to move somewhere. We have read literature, now NASA is working on rhenium-based thrusters. Now rhenium is going to be much more costlier even than columbium. For small satellite thrusters, why can't we come out with some other material which can work at, let's say, 1400 degrees centigrade, should not oxidize, because when the burning takes place, there is oxygen. So even in columbium alloys, that niobium alloys, we give a silicide coating which protects it from the oxidation. So we need a material. People have come up with the idea that carbon SiC or SiC composite can be used for thrusters. But fabrication of such a small thing with the nozzle diameter of 0.2 mm or 1 mm range is not going to be easy. So fabrication challenges also. So this is a topic. Can you come with the material which is lightweight. Space also always wants materials which is having low density, because we are going to take it up, more weight, more, money we are going to lose basically. More propellant, more structural mass. This is going to be real difficult. This is a topic. We also work on, Maharajing, I have not talked. Maharajing steel is like, all motor cases are made. Somebody was telling us last day that somebody was trying to smuggle Maharajing steel where we are making in Midhani. So we use a lot of Maharajing steel. Then ceramics. It's not only metal system, we work on ceramics. Silk, mirror, there were a lot of talks on the mirrors. Actually, we use satellite mirrors, which actually does the imaging. And the camera is actually looking at the mirror. Mirror looks at the Earth's surface. If the mirror distorts, is a problem. Your forest cover is going to change. Image quality is gone, you cannot. Now satellites are there which can read your number plate of your car when you are driving. So the accuracy depends on the surface finish of the material which is used for mirrors. And when the satellite rotates, the temperature changes from 150 degrees to plus 50 degrees. You cannot have any coefficient of thermal expansion. Kannadi mirror is good. Your mirrors, we have candidate material. Silicon carbide based mirrors are being used. Zero door, which is a lithium aluminosilicate things, which is interesting heat treatment study. There is a alpha, which is positive and negative. The crystalline phase is having positive, amorphous phase is having negative. You do the suitable heat treatment, you can nullify it. The CTE of that zero door material is 0, just by doing suitable heat treatments. Beryllium mirrors are used. But beryllium, is highly carcinogenic. You cannot handle. In Vasi, DAE has a plant where they process beryllium. There is a hot press. I have seen that. So the entire room is like a partial pressure, so that any beryllium which comes out during processing goes away. But it's going to be risky. It's not going to. So beryllium used in the mirror is coming down. I remembered, so I just put it. Carbon-carbon composite is a ceramic we are using extensively, but it's a very good material. 2000 degrees, low density. But you cannot use any oxygen is there, carbon will go away. It will simply get oxidized. So you have to protect it from the silicon carbide generally give. So protective coating. Now protective coating, how protective it is, we have to see, because silicon carbide will shrink, it creates crack, gone. Alumina, barium titanate, piezoelectric, so many ceramic materials, CSIC. Even now we are working on the plasma thrusters. Very interesting topic, because in satellite we don't need very high thrust. We need minimum mass to produce the maximum thrust. So plasma, we carry the xenon. Xenon is converted into iron, and iron is propelled through the electric and magnetic forces. And when it comes out with a high velocity, it gives the thrust. At a very high ISP, we call it ISP, specific impulse. That is how much thrust you generate per unit mass. So that is as good as 4,000, whereas in the other normal cryo engine also gives around 430, 450 like that. So very high thrust. There we use boron nitrate silica. We have started making in India. Earlier we were having import. Now silica tiles, thermal protection systems. Protection means like you are aware of Columbia disaster. The silica tile broke off and what happened. So we have made, and in SRE2 we approved. Yeah, I'll close. Just talking extempore, so whatever coming in my mind I'm talking. Now joining technologies. Because we use so many materials and we cannot have every place nut and bolt and screw, we have huge amount of joining technologies. Conventional, like TIG welding, EB welding, brazings, more than 200 types of brazings are there. Dissimilar materials joining, similar material joining in the semi-cryo engine. Diffusion bonding, we do a lot of work on that. Friction stir welding, friction welding, all the aluminum alloys to 219, even the next generation aluminum lithium 2195, we want to go for friction stir. There is a difference between friction stir and friction. I think our young colleagues may know. There is a difference. Explosive bonding also we have used. Then coatings, we use lot of coatings, not only corrosion protection, it is protection for so many things, like nickel coating is thing, you have abrasion resistance, lubricant. When you have a nut and bolt, we want to give a coating which makes the friction less. MOS2 based coatings are being used. Then metal ceramic coating is interesting topic, I work on that. I'll tell something about that. The semi-cryo engine uses oxygen rich cycle, and that condition metal can get ignited. So protect from that, we use metal ceramic coating. Then silicon carbide coating for oxidation, silcide coating again for thrusters, high emissivity coating. When we made the silica tiles, when the radiation comes, if it goes back, the heat pickup will be less. So for that, high emissivity coating, that is Syria based, was also developed and proven. Then thermal barrier coatings, zirconia, yttria stabilized, calcia stabilized, that kind of things are also used. And so many special materials, magnetic materials, energy materials I have not talked, batteries. So much scope is there all over the world. I think everybody is trying to work on energy materials, because in future, most of the vehicles will run on the batteries, and you need batteries, good quality batteries, and you cannot simply be dependent on lithium alone. You have to develop. If the battery cost come down, I think the electric vehicles will take upper stage. Till that time, still fossil fuel will run. Magnetic materials we want to develop, but all the magnetic materials use rare earth. And rare earth is only coming from one country. If that country backs out, we know what will happen. So we have to work on that. We have to develop magnets which are rare earth free, so that we get self-reliance. And low expansion materials. Many satellite applications we work on the materials which doesn't expand, but nature, materials, metal, you use a very high CT, ceramic means so much brittle, you cannot use. So there is a lot of topic, and we work powder metallurgy. Now I'll close, as Dr. Vinod is saying, but a lot of work to be done. When we talk about 2047, we believe that India, we should not import anything. Not material, not a process. Everything should be developed here. For simple example, I'll give the brazing foils which are used. Maximum we are importing. It doesn't take. Even a titanium foil, we have so big industries. When we approached 1 mm thin titanium foil, you cannot get in India.
Why is it? Why are we not making?
So I'm not talking about the niobium foils or some fancy foils. Even titanium, which we feel that is very common. We don't have that technology. I'm not talking about making foils of 100 micron or 200 micron thickness. Even 1 mm we are not having. So I think a lot of effort has to be done. All the raw materials, powders. Now with the advent of 3D printing, additive manufacturing, we need powders. But powder manufacturing in India has not started. It has to be done. Something has started, I'll tell you. It's not so. Some companies, Indo-MIN, in Conal 718 powders, they have started making for AM grade. So we also want to support ceramic powders for that matter. We are not having. We are simply depending on Merck.
This Dr. Nataraja was saying that they are going to install one big setup to prepare quality powders for 3D printing purposes.
It is very much essential, because you cannot depend on the foreign source for the supply of powder. Even now the equipments are coming from outside.
Both the AC and the DMRL have automation.
Yeah. Very good. So, but that has to convert into mass protection. It has to go. Aluminum powder, I think Sivkasi area, some companies are there. I think MEPCO or some people, they make aluminum powder. But if you ask them to make a alloy powder, I personally talked, I want 6063 powder. They said no.
No, in Varanasi, there is one company, it is called Deva Metal Powders. He is an alumnus of our department. He makes aluminum powders and aluminum alloy powders, and by various techniques. So he is in association.
Yeah.
So if any powder requirements, one can contact him.
Yeah. So this is a very initiative and very essential initiatives. If we want to be self-reliant in another 25 years, 2047, I think we cannot depend on any country to import any of the raw materials, be it powder, be it sheet metal, or I'll tell you one simple thing. Aluminum alloys, many of the alloys to prevent from corrosion is given a thin layer. They call it aluminum cladding, very thin. Do we make any aluminum cladded alloy here in country? No. No, we don't make.
I'm just wondering, again, coming from education, I'm wondering, is it because we don't teach these things in all our courses? Why is it that?
No, not that.
Why is
I
it
think
that
we
we are
have
going
sufficiently knowledgeable people sitting around. We all know everything. There is one aspect of economics also. Because a company like sir was saying, somebody is making a powder, but if he doesn't get the business, then and scientists, we are sitting here, we don't want to compromise on purity. I want 99.999. So I will not take from him. Now it is a problem. This
business, they will not produce commercial.
So all have to work together. All have to work together. Recently there was an imposition from government that GTE, there was a GTE, global tender. Before that you have to take permission, first you have to put for public tender. So that has led to a lot of indigenization. I feel that initially it was a real headache. We wanted to buy something from abroad, we cannot buy. Government has banned. So a lot of thing has happened. I think it will continue, and I think this is also an area where we have to work. IITs, industries, and R&D organizations, everybody. People should not import. With that, I will conclude. We will have a discussion on this, panel discussion. Thank you.
Session, we can use outside place, and we are closing this session here because we have to go for microstructure contest, as well as students are waiting for quiz. So these two events we have to organize just after this, before we will go for cultural event. So thank you all. Now,
The army people also want to leave, but so about 4 o'clock, they'll pack up at 4. So if you can just take a nice photo with them.
we will go for that. Now,
Question.
few questions we will take as per the request of panelists. Yeah.
Sir, you talked about that lightweighting material. We discussed always the material should be lightweight. So in automobile industry, we know that rigidity plays a role. If you are lightweighting the material, rigidity also affect. Same, is it having that in aerospace industry? If you are making the lightweight in the car, we have the rigidity problem.
Rigidity.
Rigidity.
Anyway, it's a combination of material and structural configuration. I'll give you a very classic example. Have you ever seen a honeycomb structure? Solar panels we are putting in satellite. You have seen big arms will spread, very big, 2 meter, 3 meter. Do you feel what is the weight of that? Sometimes you come, we'll show you. They are only 2 thin sheets of 0.2 mm thickness. In between, there will be 0.1 mm thickness honeycomb structure. It's like this paper, you wrap it, okay? And over that you put sheet. So it becomes so light. So you need not change the material and go for a lightweight. Lightweight means density. First is that you take a material which is having low density, so it will make the weight lighter, or you can change the configuration such that the overall structure is light. So you have to do both. Now,
engineering we call it the section modulus concept has to come.
Yeah.
Today even the resistance, if you order with Tata 1mg or from some other place, they are wrapping it in paper, but then you have the honeycomb structure of the paper itself.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Packaging industry has changed dramatically.
So can we try the lightweighting as much as possible?
You should.
In any structure, lightweighting, yes, in automobiles where we have a lot of experience, you can thin down from 0.8 millimeters to 0.7 millimeters. Then they would say, go on using high strength materials like, the HSLA high strength material, but there are much higher ones like there's the dual phase steels, strip steels, tube steels. But then what happens is the MIO value also comes into picture, and second most important, NVH, noise, vibration, harshness. So the vibration also would be increasing when the thickness becomes below certain point. So there are other properties as you rightly said. A number of properties you have to document.
Thank you.
Now, thank you. Now we have to go for open house. So I will ask 4 to 5 questions based on this panelist discussion. Only 3? Okay. Let us see the response from our students. And first question is, we all know that blood having iron. Blood having iron, but I would like to know from you that which element is present in blood vessels and what is the form of that? Which element is present in blood vessels and what is the form of that? We discussed it in Siddha medicine when Dr. Mahesh was discussing. No. Any they are now. One by one. Different elements. Who has said silver? Yeah. Please give. Next question will come to, again, to all of you. So in Siddha medicine, when we use different type of metal powders also, so in that case, how many types of diagnosis are available in Siddha medicine? How many types of diagnosis are available in Siddha medicine? Please raise your hand, then I will able to recognize. What? Correct answer, 8. 8. Now third question, we discussed the one process that is called rustling. What is rustling? Yeah.
Solidify mercury.
Sir? But that process, rustling process, I asked rustling process. What is, okay, what is rustling then? What is rustling process? Then that answer is correct, right? Mercury. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So should I close or? So we were discussing about mirrors, Aranmula mirrors, and one of the speaker has discussed about other types of material. In Aranmula mirrors, we usually use non-ferrous iron, this copper-based alloys. What are the other materials used for making mirror? What are the other materials used for making mirrors? You have to say at least 2 names. He has, I think, mentioned 3-4 names. So at least 2 names you have to mention. What are the materials used for making mirrors? Yeah.
Silica and polished surface.
Silicon polished surface.
Silica and polished surface.
Silica. No, sorry. Anybody?
Copper.
Sorry. Sorry. Anybody else from BTech, MTech, PhD? No, he talked, just I would like to now answer, beryllium based mirror, silicon carbide based mirror. So these are the types of mirrors we usually use in our satellite. So thank you all for attending this this panel. And now we are closing this panel. And please, students, those who are from 9 to 11 and 12 standard, so there will be a quiz. You please wait here itself. And for others, we will go and army people after that, after quiz. Okay. So now we will go for a photo with army people, and then we will again come back here for quiz. Momento dena hai. Now I request Jay Kumar sir. Sir, please come. Please give to Professor G.V.S. Shastri sir. यहाँ है. Now I'd like to request to hand over the memento to Dr. Anoopji. Maheshji has left, so we will give this memento on behalf of Dr. Jayakumar to Dr. Mahesh separately. We have taken a photo. How many times we will take?